Good day. It's September 8, 2025. As outrage in the country is growing against the administration over the deportation of unaccompanied children to Guatemala, a federal judge has ordered to halt such deportations. I'm Maribel Villanueva. Welcome to the Pulse.
And I'm Jessica Rolla. Welcome to this week's News Roundup.
U.S. District Court Judge Sparkle Sugnanan of the D.C. area has made an emergency ruling for a temporary hold of the Trump administration's deportation of 600 unaccompanied children. In a report from NBC, the judge said that she learned from plaintiffs that the administration were putting hundreds of unaccompanied children on flights Sunday morning last week after she had issued an order earlier in the day temporarily barring deporting 10 Guatemalan children ages 10 to 17 named in the lawsuit to their country of origin. The Trump administration grounded the airplanes carrying migrant children who were intended to be deported to Guatemala after the federal judge issued the emergency order temporarily blocking the deportation of 600 unaccompanied minors. In a relative comment from the judge, she said, "I have the government attempting to remove minor children from this country in the wee hours of the morning on a holiday weekend. That's surprising," said Judge Sugnanan during a hearing on Sunday. She clarified at the hearing that her pause order covered roughly 600 Guatemalan children at risk of deportation because the initial suit filed by the National Immigration Law Center sought class status, referring that the petition be treated as a class action lawsuit on behalf of children under the same circumstance. This scenario resembles the deportation of alleged gang members to El Salvador, where non-El Salvadorians and non-gang members were in the process of being deported when a federal judge was told about the ICE convoy going to the airport to load them onto a plane. The federal judge halted the deportation. The convoy then received a phone call from a Justice Department official and was turned around back to the detention center. Polls conducted by the different organizations shows that the Trump administration's policy and conduct by Immigration and Customs Enforcement is becoming unpopular among voters, citing lack of meaningful due process and the rounding up of immigrants with no criminal records who are just contributing to our economy. The president's approval rating on immigration policy has fallen to 51% approval and 49% disapproval, compared to 56% approval in January, according to polling by the Morning Consult. All over the U.S., people have been speaking out about masked, unidentified men arresting people. Even some U.S. citizens have been caught up in a systemic profiling of the Hispanic population.
As the White House and the Justice Department continues to push back against the release of the Epstein files, it is becoming harder and harder to make the issue go away, no matter what distractions they create. According to many critics and commentators, the new demand to have the entire Epstein file released came from a discharge petition by two Republican Congress members, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Thomas Massie of Kentucky, along with Democratic Representative Ro Khanna of California. The discharge petition will force the House to put the motion into a vote by the entire lower chamber as a first step to have the Epstein file released. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, can't stop a discharge petition if signed by a majority of members in the chamber. By late Wednesday last week, more Republican lawmakers indicated interest in signing the discharge petition as it grew by two more Republicans, Lauren Boebert of Colorado and Nancy Mace of South Carolina. Why this Epstein file is making President Trump nervous is anybody's guess. He has called the Epstein file a Democratic hoax. Also, on that same day of the filing of the discharge petition by three Congress members, a group of surviving victims of Epstein's alleged sex trafficking of minors held a press conference also demanding the release of the file. Some were saying they just don't want to be forgotten and could be the only way they can have closure for what they went through.
In the Philippines, a widening investigation is taking place in the Senate over alleged corruption and anomalies in the flood control project in central Luzon and other provinces. What started as an interview by reporter Julius Babao of TV5 on his YouTube vlog that was seen by millions of Filipinos, OFWs worldwide, it unexpectedly started a serious investigation of government oversight on the flood control projects. In the YouTube video of Julius Babao's vlog, he shows Department of Public Works and Highways contractor Cesara Discaya showing off 26 imported SUVs, most of which are considered luxury cars in the Philippines. In what was meant to showcase their hard work and success in life, Sara Discaya was asked when the turning point of their life of wealth was. She said that they have been government contractors, but that the fortune came more significantly when they became DPWH contractors. The Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, is the agency supervision of flood control projects, which the Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. was seriously concerned about investigating because of the flooding in central Luzon during this year's monsoon season. Ordinary Filipinos who saw the vlog displaying the lavish life of the Discaya family were angered that government contractors were living a life of untold luxury, while workers could barely afford food and rent on their wages. They worked 6 days a week in the private sector just to be able to feed the family. Lawmakers became alerted when they started asking questions and found out that the Discaya couple were recipients of flood control contracts, which has numerous complaints of bad construction and unfinished projects.
The Senate investigation into the Discaya family construction business, which began with luxury cars, Philippine senators have now subpoenaed officials of various government agencies as a free-for-all round of questioning by senators to give new items to investigate. For now, the senators are in the trajectory of corruption in the DPWH, which to many who are familiar are saying 40% of the price tag of DPWH projects goes to several level of officials in the DPWH ladder. Several families in the construction business in the Philippines are likely to face the Senate Oversight Committee and implicate many government officials. On the luxury cars alone, senators want to see documents from the Bureau of Customs and the Bureau of Internal Revenue to see if the income from their business were properly reported and taxed. Senators will likely drag to the committee dozens of officials from the Bureau of Customs, the BIR, and the Land Transportation Office. This investigation could also implicate, for complicity, even some officials of the Commission on Audit, or COA, as to who signed off on the documents certifying the projects had been completed and eligible for final payment for the project. Even on the quality of the materials used in these failed projects, one senator suggested to the National Bureau of Investigation that companies and steel mills who manufacture substandard steel bars are the favorite suppliers of corrupt contractors. One senator is now challenging witnesses to cooperate with the Senate investigations and come forward to name names if they have direct knowledge of the corruption relating to flood control projects. Many in Philippines' social media have now described this wide-scope scandal as Napoles 2.0, referring to the massive investigation of theft of PDAF, the Philippine Development Assistance Fund, perpetuated by Janet Napoles and collaborators in the government, where billions of pesos were stolen by politicians and government officials, but only a trickle went to real projects to uplift the poor. Investigators are now looking into the vlog of the children of these contractors that portray their life in luxury, including travels and shopping sprees in Dubai and Europe, and dining in super expensive restaurants abroad. Just as showing off of luxury cars and lavish parties with Hollywood stars by daughter Jane Napoles, prompted by FBI and IRS investigation for criminal tax evasion in the U.S. Filipinos are angry when they think that their taxes were used as a contribution to their life of lavish luxury for the children of these billion pesos contractors. We are going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will be joined here at PhilMTV Studios by Laura Martin of the Progressive Leadership of Nevada. Please stay tuned.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of Aircom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What Aircom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and Aircom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
It's real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
Another really cool feature is that these earbuds are sweat-proof and water-resistant because they're coated with a super hydrophobic nanotechnology. So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Don't waste your money on CBD. Now hold on, don't turn the video off. If you're already taking CBD, good for you. You're on a good path, but there's a much better way. If you're thinking, should I try CBD? Let me answer a couple of questions that might help you make the decision to even try a CBD product. First of all, let's answer the question, what is CBD and where does it come from? CBD is cannabidiol. It's called a cannabinoid, and it's found naturally in many different plants. fact, as you see here in the Cannabicae family, there's hops, sandalwood, hackberry, of course, hemp, even marijuana. But we're not talking here about marijuana. In fact, we're going to be talking about hemp. As I started to mention, CBD can be found in hemp, in rather high levels, as a matter of fact. But here's the problem. CBD is not the only cannabinoid you can find in hemp. Hemp contains over 100 different cannabinoids. In fact, in the Cannabicae family, hemp contains the highest level of cannabinoids of any plant, which is why it's the most popular source for CBD. But as I mentioned, CBD is only one of the cannabinoids that you can find in hemp. Hemp contains high levels also of CBC, CBG, and CBN. So why would we want CBC, CBD, CBG, and CBN? Well, as we look at the benefits here from CBD alone, you can see these benefits are great. I mean, who wouldn't want these benefits, right? But let's look at the benefits you can get from CBC. You see, they compound with CBD and offer yet even more. But then let's also now look at CBG. CBG has even more benefits. So naturally, anybody looking for the maximum benefit you can derive from hemp would want CBC, CBG, and CBD. But don't stop there. CBN also has fantastic benefits. So if you're looking for a great hemp product and you're contemplating trying a CBD product, don't just buy CBD. And please, don't buy that cheap gas station grocery store stuff. It's just that, cheap, and it won't benefit you at all. But if you can get a high grade, medical grade in fact, hemp product that contains CBC, CBD, CBG, and CBN, now you are unleashing the full power of your body that can only happen if you have all four of these cannabinoids in your body. If you're taking CBD, you're getting roughly 1/4 of the benefit that hemp can give you. Well, fourth is better than nothing, I suppose, but when you want 100% of all the benefits that hemp can give you, that is what happens if you take CBD with CBC, CBG, and CBN. So now you're probably asking, well, where on earth do I get all four of those? The problem now is solved. CBX4 contains high levels, not trace levels, and this is very important, contains high levels of all four of these cannabinoids, which means every benefit we listed up until now is available to you naturally in CBX4 and only in CBX4.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. With us now in our studios is Laura Martin, who is the head of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a bit about yourself and the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada.
Sure. So my name is Laura Martin. I'm the Executive Director of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, a title I've been proud to hold since 2019. But before that, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, had the privilege of growing up in Colorado Springs. And then in 2007, there's an opportunity to work for SEIU Nevada, which is a labor union, organizing people and fighting for a president who will have a health care plan that will benefit all Americans. And just through that process, I really fell in love with organizing, fell in love with Las Vegas, and I've been here ever since. And just through my organizing journey, I was able to volunteer for Plan, and then eventually hired on as staff. So I've been a Plan volunteer, I've been an organizer, and now for the first time since Plan was founded in 1994, I'm the first woman, first Black person, first person of color to lead this organization that'll turn 32 years old next year. So I'm really proud of that.
In the Nevada Senate, SB 275 was passed that would have protected tenants from excessive rent increases in Nevada, but was vetoed by Governor Lombardo. The governor publicly explained his reason for the veto, such as economic reasons, and that the law would create shortage of housing in Nevada, as well as a deterioration of properties and amenities if property owners are not able to raise rent. Should the governor have signed it into law? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I really do think he should have signed it into law, even if rent caps were temporary. People are really hurting, and we've seen the Realtor Association put in their newsletter celebrating the fact, literally saying, raise the roof. We can raise rents as high as we want, as often as we want, for any reason that we want. And that is not a recipe for neighborhood stability. That's a recipe for instability for families, for educators, if you have kids moving in and out because mom and dad can't afford where they live. And we even, as a compromise, we even had legislation that was sponsored by Assemblywoman Sandra Jauregui that would have just had rent caps for seniors. So, seniors can't get a second job. They're usually on a fixed income. And so, places like New York, Portland, California, they have rent caps. I would still think New York is a hot place to buy real estate. I wouldn't say that rent caps has been killing it, but it is something we need to explore, even if it is temporary, because our wages can't keep up with the rental increases here in Nevada.
Thank you for that perspective. Is public mass transit an issue for the Progressive Alliance in Nevada? Is there something that can be done to improve it?
It definitely is an issue. We do not have a mass transit apparatus here that is safe, that is fast, that is free. And we want to make sure that we're investing not just in the next month or the next event, but actually investing in our next generation and in our future. And we see in other cities, even Phoenix, even Utah, they have light rail, they have high-speed rail. Yes, we're going to have Brightline, but that's taking us between states. How are we taking us between zip codes here in Nevada and not waiting outside at a bus stop in 115-degree weather? And so we really want to take a look at, can we use some of the live entertainment tax? So instead of people walking across the street after a football game or after a Beyonce concert, there's light rail and public transportation to take you back to your neighborhood.
And as we talked about schools becoming more crowded, there has been advocacy on privatizing schools, defunding public schools, and where Nevada ranks on public education nationwide. So where does PLAN stand on this matter, and what can be done?
Well, PLAN definitely stands with our public school parents, the Public School Teachers Union. They're on the front lines in the classrooms if you're a teacher or if you're a parent with your kids, and they know exactly what is needed. And I think sometimes it's failure to plan for our growth here in Nevada. We just grow so quickly and we never really get out ahead of it. And so the overcrowding of schools, the lack of equitable per pupil spending can be attributed to our just exploding growth that happens every year. And so we don't believe in subsidizing wealthy Nevadans' ability to send their kids to private school. Just like we just talked about public transportation, you can take the bus or you can buy a car. I shouldn't have to give you a voucher to buy your private mode of transportation. That was your choice. But as a taxpayer, I will invest into public transportation to ensure that everybody at least has that, but making sure that it's the best, it's the fastest, and the most accessible. So we want our public schools to be accessible, we want them to be the best, and we have to invest in them to be able to do that.
Has the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada seen success or failures in reaching out to elected officials, from city councils to Nevada state legislatures, and proposing laws for the safety and daily living of everyday Nevadans?
Yeah, what's really important to PLAN is people's ability to not just survive and scrape by, but actually thrive in the community that you choose to raise your family. And so while we knock doors, we make calls and we text people, we also reach out to our elected officials and bring them together with their constituents that we meet in the community and talk about the problems that they're having. And a lot of those problems usually fall into three things: can't afford groceries, can't afford rent, can't afford utilities. And so I think Nevada is so unique because I can go to the grocery store and sometimes run into my, county commissioner. So our elected officials are very accessible. And so we have had great luck just being able to bring together constituents and the elected officials so we can see, like, this is the issue that people are dealing with. How can we work together to really seriously address it?
And what is the progressive leadership gearing up for the 2026 election?
Yeah, so 2026 elections, every election is important. Plan is a C3, so we are nonpartisan. So we really focus on making sure people know the dates of when to vote, know the rules. You have to be a registered voter to be able to vote. You have to be a U.S. citizen, over 18, all of those things. And also teaching people about the different levels of the ballot. So what does governor do versus county commissioner, and why is my assemblywoman running for mayor, and just explaining the different levels of the ballot and how that all works, and educating and just protecting people's rights. We're part of the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition, who leads on that work, and we're really proud to be part of that coalition that's just making sure people can go cast all eligible voters can just go cast their vote without being harassed, without any problems happening. And so especially we also have an office in Reno that just does direct service immigration. So we've helped hundreds of people become U.S. citizens. So we want to make sure you've taken that step, and then the next step is registering to vote and voting in every election that you're eligible.
Amazing. So, okay, we will leave it at that as we are out of time for this edition. Laura, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Until next week, thank you for watching. I'm Maribel Villanueva.
And I'm Jessica Rolla. Thank you, and God bless your week.